So good afternoon. We're here today for the next episode of the 4.0 Impact Series. Today I'm delighted to be sitting here with Jean-Louis Warnholz from a company called Future, who are, I suppose, Future's way of tackling climate change is via sustainable finance via a very clever debit card called Futurecard. Which rewards people for making sustainable purchases and essentially doing good things. So, it's a really interesting company. A really interesting story. And I'll hand over to you, Jean-Louis, if you will, and maybe just give us a bit of a brief introduction, if you would.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's always great to have the opportunity to talk about Future, but also to talk about kind of climate change and all the exciting innovative solutions that are out there in this growing space now. Yeah, Future in a nutshell is paying you to reduce your carbon footprint. We just launched the Futurecard Visa debit card, and we reward you for all those purchases that have a lower carbon footprint, whether that is charging your car or that is secondhand shopping, or getting a kind of pre-loved device instead of kind of lining up outside of the Apple Store. And so we have a basket of goods that have a significantly lower carbon footprint, and we give you up to 6% cash back for those items, and really focus on opportunities for you to do what's right for your wallet and what's right for the planet. That's the kind of core focus of the movement that we're building. Understood.
And look, it's a very interesting, as I said, it's a very interesting concept. So perhaps you could just give us a bit more insight, I suppose, into the genesis of the business. Where you come up with the idea, and I suppose the story so far.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll be honest with you, Leighton. I didn't know much about climate change for most of my life and most of my career. So my big passion, really coming straight out of university, was emerging markets, particularly in East and West Africa, and kind of building startups there, and looking to attract more business and more capital, more jobs into spaces that were really thriving in a fascinating way. And so part of that journey meant I had a lot of opportunity to spend time in Ghana and Kenya and in Tanzania and other places in the region. And I think over the last few years, I've noticed that the extreme weather events are getting more frequent, more severe. I've seen firsthand the impact of extreme heat waves when it's very, very hot, and you have high humidity, which makes life very challenging. And I realized that a lot of what I've been deeply, deeply passionate about over the last kind of 10+ years was threatened by climate change, just because making a living and just going on with life is really challenging in those conditions, and we're only at the beginning of what's to come. And so I took kind of that same obsession and passion that I had for building businesses across East and West Africa, and turned it to climate change to see what contribution I might be able to make. And I started with my own family. We've had a very high carbon footprint. I'm married with 4 kids, living in the American suburbs.
Wow.
And so we have a high carbon footprint, and we try to figure out what can we do as a family to dramatically lower it, not by a kilogram here or there, but by tons and tons. And so we dove into the research. We initially looked at planting trees, and I connected with a few friends that are very smart in the climate space. And we realized that to offset our carbon footprint, we had to plant over 7,000 trees and look after them on an annual basis.
Yeah.
And it became clear to me that this is not the solution for us, but I realized that there's so many things that are not yet accessible to households like mine that could help me dramatically reduce my carbon footprint. And that's really how Future was born, to make it more accessible, more rewarding, more fun, more interesting for you to lower your carbon footprint as a household and get outsized rewards while you're doing it.
Interesting. So it's almost a I suppose it's like an incentivized educational tool. So it's allowing people to get rewarded for sustainable behavior, but it's also educating them as to, like you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, not going directly to Apple, but I don't know, going to a company like
Back Market, for example. Yeah.
Perfect example. Perfect example.
Yeah. So Back Market is one of our partners, and I think what we as we build Future, we've realized two things, and again, like starting really, with ourselves to see what we can do to lower our carbon footprint. I think we saw two things. I think often the debate is around or the kind of view in popular culture is that, for you to do the sustainable thing, you have to, get an electric vehicle, you have to round up your purchase to reduce your carbon footprint, or generally kind of spend more. And I think there was not a lot of discussions about all the things that you could do that actually save you money and reduce your carbon footprint at the same time. Right? It was sustainability was always seen as something that is kind of expensive. It's for wealthier neighborhoods that can afford the plant-based milk and, the expensive kind of recycled material garments.
Yeah, the organic vegetables and
exactly. And so, and so we wanted to focus on making this accessible and focusing on everyday low carbon choices and actually give you real rewards for that. I think that was the first thing. I think the second thing that we realized is that there's so many choices out there now because there's been immense innovation in the space that folks just don't know about. Like there's, a new plant-based, milk popping up, a new kind of plant-based meat. There are more and more interesting, exciting secondhand options coming up for your shopping. And so because there's been so much innovation, it's not really accessible to most folks. And so I think our solution is really twofold. One, we give you simple rewards, right? You get up to 6% cash back for purchases that are better for the planet. Very simple, very straightforward. But then we also have a lot of content in our app that constantly shows you deals and opportunities to spend less and emit less carbon. And that's really the kind of dual opportunity that we see in growing Future.
Understood. So, I mean, look, the key sort of USPs that you just mentioned there. I mean, it's no secret that the world there's a global cost of living crisis, and people are feeling it. People are getting squeezed. So if there's a way to incentivize, and it's directly hitting individuals' wallets, that's brilliant. But then I think that the more powerful thing as well is like you say, it's the educational piece. There are a lot of great companies out there doing a lot of great things, and we're both fortunate that we're active in a space, so we know about them. But I often talk to my mum about certain things, or my wife, and it kind of blows their mind as to what's out there. And it's just a case of where the real impact is making it easy accessible to the masses, as opposed to just those in the know.
Yeah, and I think and that's why kind of Future is really focusing on the kind of economics, right? The budget considerations behind this. Like, how much cash can you save if you switch to a heat pump, for example? Like, our family saved a lot of money. Like, once you aggregate this, right, with back to school and all the kind of things that you have to spend money on as a family, and we just switched to secondhand. Like, everything I wear is secondhand now. Right, I still get it from my kind of favorite brands that I used to shop at previously, but it's secondhand. My kids now love Back Market, right? So it used to be that they would have like their birthday wish list, and they have like an Amazon list or something, and now it's like Back Market, right? Here's kind of what I would love from Back Market. And it's, as a family, it means, I pay sometimes 40, 50% less, right? I know my footprint is 80, sometimes 90% less if I'm buying something pre-loved. We already do that with cars, right? Why not do it with devices and furniture and fashion? And so we're really focusing on things that are no-brainers, right? You get great quality, you pay less, and you get a healthy cashback reward on top of it.
What's not to love?
Exactly. What's not to love? And that's I think why what we need more of in the climate space. I think a lot of the kind of conversations that I've been part of, and I have very, very kind of passionate friends who are deeply knowledgeable about climate change and the kind of scary trajectory that we're on. I think we have to focus more on choices that are, what's not to love, no-brainers, because they're out there. And I think often when I have conversations with our members, right, the issue is, I can't stop flying, right, because I got to, see my parents, right, because maybe a family member is unwell, right? These are not the kind of core decisions that we're focused on, right? If you have to take a flight, like think about, well, what are the ways to lower the impact in my daily life in other ways, right? Can I try out a few varieties of plant-based milk, and maybe I love one of them, and that's the one I'm going to stick with? Or can I think about my shopping differently and just try out sustainable brands, right? Whether it's straight from Patagonia and Lululemon or Levi's or North Face, or it's one of the sustainable marketplaces that are kind of popping up right, left, and center. That's kind of the thinking we're trying to inspire, that it's not the kind of daunting, overwhelming choice, but it's choices that are really straightforward for you to make and have a real impact.
Yeah. Interesting. And I think it's fair to say that quite often the more sustainable, more eco-conscious choice could often be the cheaper choice as well. And I'm not just talking about on the second-hand market, but there's some really good textile companies out there, or textiles fashion brands that are using sustainably produced, ethically produced and sourced materials in their t-shirts, etc. And it's kind of anti-fast fashion, but it's not too much more than or in some cases it's actually less than the competitor that's not thinking like that. So again, I think that where the real impact is, it's education, but it's also, you said it, accessibility, making it easy so people don't have to go necessarily out of their way, because that's how you then get the masses, and with the masses is where the real impact and I suppose evolution is. Yeah,
and I think that's why kind of Future is building a really detailed kind of carbon analytics platform for the household, right? Others have built this for larger companies, but we're really doing this for the household, so we can always tell you, here are some more ways for you to save cash and carbon. And often it's choices that are maybe not as apparent, right? Maybe you think you have to retrofit your entire home with LED light bulbs, right? That's a hassle and a significant expense.
Yeah.
What if I told you that simply increasing the temperature slightly from a 68 degrees to 72 degrees or 75 degrees Fahrenheit in your house during the summer has an outsized impact, bigger than what you might have if you retrofit to LED light bulbs. And so it's always focusing on the kind of savings element. And because our platform is really tailored to the particular individual joining in, we're able to make recommendations that are quite specific, because people can save money on different things of their day-to-day living.
Yeah, understood. I suppose that the last thing is just really interested in just hearing a little bit more around where you're at the moment, but where you're going. What does the next 6 to 12 months look like in the evolution of Future?
Yeah, and so we just launched the kind of new debit card version of the Futurecard Visa debit card, which we're now excited about and growing. It requires no credit pull. There's no monthly fee, and you can kind of use it instantly and kind of start racking up these cashback rewards that we're giving you on everyday spending items. So we're looking to grow this. We are actually looking at kind of taking it to Europe and other parts of the world as well. And then what you'll see over the next kind of few weeks and months is just a lot more features that make the climate smart choice more accessible, and also gives you kind of extra rewards for these types of choices. And then we're rolling out a number of additional financial features that we think will help our members kind of finance climate smart choices in their daily life.
So the next 6 to 12 months is about expansion, scaling, new features, and I guess just customer acquisition, essentially getting more people onto the platform.
Yeah, I think getting more people onto the platform, but also learning a lot. I think part of, like, if we're a very young company. We've been around for just a year now, and I think part of what I think the whole team is passionate about is listening to our members and see, like, how can we be helpful. I think one thing that we heard a lot as we kind of first started out is comments from members that say, look, I care about the planet, I care about my kids' future, but I also have to, like, put food on the table. I have to buy school supplies, right? I can't pay more for the sustainable choice. So help me out and help me kind of figure out how I can, be sustainable in my lifestyle, but also make ends meet. And I think we're entering a period where, interest rates are rising. There's kind of more budget pressures just on households. And so Future really has to, basically rise to this moment and figure out more and more ways how you can save money and how you can reduce your carbon footprint every day. And so I think our members can expect a lot more kind of features and solutions from us in that particular space.
Nice. Look, it's it's an exciting time. What you've achieved in just over 12 months is nothing short of very impressive. And obviously this new round of funding is going to allow you to to amplify that and really go out and scale. So I'll be keeping a keen eye on when you come over to the UK. So
we're looking forward to it, and I've been talking to my family, like, every time we drive to New York now, we're saving way over $100 because we are able to charge our car for free. We have a Volkswagen ID4, so we kind of put the kits in, we charge it for free, and so we're saving over $100 every time we make the trip. And my dream is really to make these choices much more accessible to families all across the countries, and then ultimately to families in parts of Europe as well.
Good. Well, look, we look forward to welcome you across the Atlantic. John Louis, thank you very much for jumping on this. It's a really impressive story, and a very, very interesting and innovative product. So, as I say, I think this will be very, very well received across the network, and I think there'll be a lot of people, including myself, quite eager for you guys to come come over and and start creating the impacts over into Europe.
Sounds good. I'm very much looking forward to it, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right.
All the best,
Thank
Johnny.
you.
Thank you.